House of the Dragon Episode 2 ended with Rhaenyra finally sitting the Iron Throne. But Episode 3 does not let that victory breathe, because almost immediately, the crown stops looking like a prize and starts looking like a trap. The faith pushes back, the city is unstable, Corlys wants answers, Daemon and Tessarion are pulling Rhaenyra in different directions. And then comes the move that exposes the whole problem. Rhaenyra thought she had Daeron Targaryen, a prince, a green prince, a hostage, a dragon rider she could send to the wall and remove from the war without spilling blood. Then Alicent sees the boy. That is not just a twist. That is Episode 3 exposing Rhaenyra's real problem and keeps telling her the same thing. She does not have control. Not over the faith, not over the city, not over her allies, not over Daemon, and by the end, not even over the hostage she thought she had secured. That is why Rhaenyra's line hits so hard.
I am awash in dilemmas and deficiencies. Let me find my footing.
That is the whole episode in one sentence. So let's break down why the Daeron deception matters, why Tumbleton is a major warning, why Corlys puts Rhaenyra in a political trap, and why Episode 3 proves taking King's Landing was the easy part. Full spoilers ahead. Now, let's start right there. The episode opens with Daemon and Ormund Hightower, and at first, it looks like Rhaenyra is about to gain something huge. Ormund appears to surrender, a hostage is handed over, and that hostage is supposed to be Daeron Targaryen, Alicent and Viserys' youngest son. That matters because Daeron is not just another name on the family tree. He is another green prince, another claim, and with Tessarion tied to him, he is not only a political piece, he is a dragon on the board. So if Ormund really gives Daeron up, Rhaenyra gets leverage over House Hightower. She gets a royal hostage. She gets a way to remove one more green threat without another execution, another battle, or another body added to the war. And that is why the wall matters. If Daeron takes the black, he gives up titles, inheritance, marriage, and any claim that could be used against her. It looks clean, and that is exactly why Daemon does not trust it. His instinct is immediate and simple. They should have incinerated them all. That line tells us everything about how Daemon sees the board. He does not see surrender as relief. He sees it as risk. If someone could betray you tomorrow, destroy them today. That is Daemon's version of power. Burn the threat, break the room, leave fewer people standing who can challenge you later. But Rhaenyra is still trying to believe her rule can be different. She wants justice without becoming cruel, mercy without looking weak, power without becoming the exact ruler her enemies warned people she would be. And for a moment, Ormund's surrender seems to give her that cleaner path. But the episode does not let Rhaenyra enjoy that leverage for long, because once she has the throne, every problem in the kingdom starts walking in the room. This is where Episode 3 makes the crown feel less like a prize and more like a workload. Rhaenyra is not just sitting comfortably in victory. She is being buried by rule. The faith is pushing back, the castle is still broken, and every person around her seems to arrive with another demand. So when Rhaenyra says that she's awash in dilemmas and deficiencies, that is not just Rhaenyra complaining. That is the episode telling us what the throne actually gave her. The faith may be the clearest early example. Rhaenyra can sit the Iron Throne. She cannot command belief. That is the difference. The throne gives her the symbol of power. The faith shapes whether regular people believe that power is rightful. The people may not understand every council move, but they understand sin, blessing, shame, and whether a crown feels cursed. So when the faith resists Rhaenyra, it is not just religious disagreement. It is a legitimacy problem. She has taken the capital. Now she has to make the capital believe she belongs there. And the problems are not just coming from outside enemies. Some of them are coming from the damage the Greens left behind. And that is why the rats in the castle matter. The rats point straight back to season 2, after Blood and Cheese, when Aegon had the rat catchers hanged. Aegon wanted to look strong, punish the people who were supposed to fix the problem. Now, Rhaenyra inherits it. Aegon killed the rat catchers. The rats are still there. That is what Rhaenyra inherited. Not just the throne, but the damage left behind by the last king who sat near it. But Rhaenyra is not just only inheriting the Green's mess. She is also being asked to settle wounds inside her own alliance. That is where Corlys becomes important. The knighting of Ulf, Hugh, and Adam should look like a moment of reward. Rhaenyra has new dragon riders. These are valuable pieces. These are people who have changed the balance of the war, and she needs to honor that. But the detail that matters is how she names Adam. She knights Adam of Hull, not Adam Valyrian. And Corlys catches it. That is not a small thing. Corlys asking Rhaenyra to legitimize his sons is not just a family request, it is a political demand. If Rhaenyra legitimizes Adam and Alan, she turns private blood into public law. She gives them the Valyrian name, legal standing, inheritance weight, and a clearer place inside one of the most powerful houses backing her claim. And for Corlys, that is legacy. And Corlys has always been obsessed with legacy. Ships, names, marriages, bloodlines, history. That is how Corlys thinks. And after everything Corlys has lost supporting Rhaenyra, his wife, children, his castle, the majority of his fleet, he wants to make sure his line survives in a way the realm has to recognize, as according to him, all he has left to give is his name. But for Rhaenyra, this is dangerous, because legitimacy is the wound her enemies used against her own children. The rumor that her sons were bastards was not just court gossip, it became a political weapon. It weakened her, insulted her bloodline, and helped feed the war she is fighting right now. So if Rhaenyra can make Corlys' sons legitimate because it is useful, she reopens the same wound her enemies used against her own children. That is why her choice matters. She rewards the service, but she withholds the name, and that puts her in a trap. If she refuses Corlys, she risks insulting one of her most important allies. If she gives him what he wants, she walks straight back into the legitimacy fight that haunted her own sons. That is a trap with a royal seal on it. And while Corlys is pressing her on legacy, Daemon and Mysaria are pressing her on power. That is why their clash matters. This is not just advisor drama. Daemon and Mysaria have history. They were once lovers. Mysaria knows Daemon. She knows his instincts. She knows what he becomes when power is on the table. And Daemon knows her too. That makes their disagreements sharper than a normal council argument, because this is not just about strategy. It is about two people who have seen each other clearly, now standing on opposite sides of what Rhaenyra's rule should look like. Daemon sees the board through force. Threats should be crushed. Enemies should be burned. And if Ormund might betray them, incinerate him before he gets the chance. Mysaria sees the city beneath the castle. Hunger, fear, rumor, public mood, the way people turn against the ruler before the ruler realizes the room has already changed. So when Mysaria and Daemon clash, they are not just disagreeing over tactics, they are fighting over what kind of queen Rhaenyra should become. Daemon's answer is simple: rule hard enough that no one gets the chance to betray you. Mysaria's answer is more complicated. Power is not just what you can destroy, it is what people believe, what people fear, and what people are willing to accept. And that leaves Rhaenyra caught between two dangers. If she follows Daemon too far, she becomes the ruler her enemies already warned the realm about. But if she refuses Daemon completely, episode 3 shows how quickly mercy can be used against her. That question does not stay theoretical for long because Ormund's deception is about to test it. Episode 2 ended with Alicent seeing her father dead while Rhaenyra sat the throne. Now Episode 3 keeps that grief inside the castle. Alicent is not just a former friend. She is a prisoner, a grieving daughter, and one of the only people who understands what it means to manage power from inside the Red Keep. And that is what makes Rhaenyra asking her for advice so loaded. Because Alicent has done this before. When Viserys was ill, Alicent helped manage the castle, the court, and the daily machinery of rule. She knows what it means to sit close to power while everyone around you brings problems, demands, and impossible choices. And her advice is not comforting. Alicent tells Rhaenyra there will be moments when ruling means making decisions that cause people to suffer, decisions that may even get people killed. And that is the ugly truth Rhaenyra does not want to accept. Rhaenyra rejects it. She says she will not let the throne turn her into something she is not. And that is the heart of Episode 3. Rhaenyra wants the throne, but she does not want the throne to remake her. She wants to rule without becoming cruel. She wants to be just without becoming weak. She wants to hold power without letting power hollow her out. But Alicent is warning her that the crown does not care who Rhaenyra wants to be. The crown asks for decisions, the realm pays for it, and the ruler has to live with the cost. And then the hostage lie finally breaks. Rhaenyra believes she has Daeron. She believes Ormund has surrendered. She believes she has found a merciful way to cut one green prince off the board. Then Alicent sees the boy. She does not know him. That is the moment the entire move collapsed. The boy is not Daeron. Hostage is fake. Ormund did not hand over Alicent's son. He handed over a lie. And now, Daemon's earlier warning starts to feel a lot less like paranoia. Because Ormund did exactly what Daemon feared an enemy would do. He used surrender as a weapon. And that becomes the first clear cost of Rhaenyra trying to be merciful and just. Not because mercy is wrong, but because mercy in this war can be turned into leverage by the wrong person. Rhaenyra wanted to avoid ruling through fire, and Ormund made that restraint cost her. And then the lie gets worse, because Ormund was not only hiding Daeron, he was moving on the map. Rhaenyra gets word that Ormund has taken Tumbleton, and that changes the meaning of everything that came before it. And Tumbleton is not just another town. It is the kind of position that tells us Ormund's army is not retreating from the war. It is moving through the reach toward the capital. Ormund's surrender was never surrender. It was just misdirection. And Rhaenyra thought she was holding a prince. Ormund was taking a city. And for book-aware viewers, Tumbleton is an ominous name. In Fire and Blood, that town becomes one of the ugliest turning points of the dance, a place tied to betrayal, dragonfire, and the war eating its own side. So when Tumbleton falls, the message is bigger than one lost place. The Hightowers are not finished, they are not cornered, and Daeron still free. And that matters because Daeron gives the Greens something they badly need. With Aegon and Aemon missing, Daeron would be next in line to the throne and can be sold as the better prince, the cleaner prince, the one who has not been burned, broken, or defined by the worst choices of the war. And with Tessarion with him, then this is not only a political problem, it is a dragon problem. So by the time Rhaenyra watches the Hightower items burn, the image cuts two ways. On the surface, it looks like rejection. Otto is dead, King's Landing is hers, Hightower's symbols can be thrown into the fire. But burning Hightower things is not the same as ending Hightower power. That is the final warning of Episode 3. Rhaenyra can clear the rooms. She can burn the objects. She can sit the Iron Throne. But Ormund is still moving. Daeron is still free. And House Hightower has already proven it can deceive her from outside the walls. So as we get ready for Episode 4, That leaves one real question to ask. Can Rhaenyra continue to afford mercy after Ormund used it against her, or would ruling like Daemon cost her something even worse? What's your take on this episode? Drop it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you're curious for more, click the video on your screen to watch the next breakdown now. This is Thrones and Ladders. Every climb has a cost, and in this Game of Thrones, power always collects.